Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rudy Page and welcome to CASAFA Football Futures Middlesex FA. And today's session is called Pandemic Era Youth and Community Football. A youth and community football symposium for blending sports, education, mental well-being through 21st century skills for inspiring inclusive, peaceful, caring, and enterprising neighborhoods. Prevention is better than cure. Young people need somewhere to go. Young people need something to do. Young people need someone to show them how. And on this forum, Football Futures, we are committed to grassroots football that is open to all. So thank you very much. We've got representatives. First of all, we got Wayne Butfoy based in Spain, who's the technical director of Football Futures. We have Wayne Shaw, Chris James from their team from CASAFA. And we've got other interested individuals around coaches, former players, and those people in general who are dedicated to supporting grassroots football across the globe. So I'm really pleased that this really is a platform particularly dedicated to Kingston and St Andrew Football Association in Jamaica, which is the lead partner on this platform. But of course, it does link to the other associations around Jamaica as well, but CASAFA is the lead agency for this program between the UK and Jamaica. So I'm going to start off with going to Wayne Butfoy first as the technical director of Football Futures. And Wayne, if you remember a few months ago, we spoke about young people and football. And today, this is about the pandemic era and how we move forward from there. So over the next few minutes, could you give us your up-to-date perspective, please?
Well, over here in Spain, I've noticed, and having spoken to a lot of other coaches, there's been quite a big change in the mentality of the youngsters. They've not been so keen to come back to training. Not so keen to leave the house, especially the age group from like 12 to 18. They've now started, some of them, doing an early pre-season, even though the league's not starting until September, the youth leagues. But even the players that have been turning up for training, it's like the atmosphere is not the same. It's sort of like, it's dumbed down their personalities a little bit. Also their attitude, but you know, as coaches, we have to accept that. I mean, it's affected everyone, you know, so we have to show a lot of patience with the kids. I let them talk. Personally, I always have a word with them and let them tell me. I don't tell them. I like to let them, you know, if there's a player before the pandemic who I've noticed, where there's quite a few, because I still do skill sessions. I said, like, you know, and you just have to listen to them and listen to, you know, their changes and their problems which have occurred during this 18 months. Because it's been awful for everyone, you know. And I think their age group, this has affected them. That like 13, 14 to 18 has really affected them quite, in my opinion, over here in Spain, in Valencia, in the Valencia area. And having spoken to quite a few other coaches and scouts, you know, more or less sort of like agreed on the same thing. I've noticed with the 16 to 18s as well, there's a lot, whereas they'd be kicking a ball around in the park, now they're drinking a can of beer, which is not a good sign. That was something that we had in England, unfortunately, for a long time. But that didn't happen over here. So yeah, whether that, I think that's a change up as well. Because I mean, parents as well have been drinking, not been going out. The fridge has been full of beer, full of booze. So parents maybe drinking more and maybe think it's all right. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely been over here in Spain. It's definitely been an effect of it, mentally and physically. You know, it's quite disturbing, really. I hope it gets normal. But yeah, the big key words: patience.
Yeah, and I think that is one of your key words about patience and young people when it comes to football and coaching.
Yeah, because we never had it.
Yeah.
So we know how to. We wanted the patience. We responded better, but we didn't get it. So I think that is a key word with these kids, more so than ever.
Okay, and you set the scene for us perfectly with that, Wayne. Thank you. So I'm going to ask Wayne Shaw if you would come onto the platform, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good day.
Yeah, Rudy, I just want to say Carvel will be speaking on behalf of CASAFA, and also Andrew Price will be speaking. But I just want to say thanks for allowing us this opportunity. The clubs, I want to say Chris James is very instrumental in getting all of this together with you. And we look forward to the partnership and many more of the symposiums like these. So Carvel is trying to get on, he'll soon be on. So he'll be speaking on behalf of CASAFA. Okay?
Okay. So we go to Andrew Price next then, if he's not on yet.
Yes, good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm really delighted to represent CASAFA on this particular topic, which is, the role of community-based football as a social change agent, which we utilize so much in Jamaica. And to understand it, I coach one of the clubs in Jamaica, Humble Lion, and I coached Boys Town Football Club for several years, one of the pioneer clubs in Jamaica. I also played for them. I was the assistant coach of the first Jamaica women's female team to go to the World Cup in 2019. And I am active in administration in CASAFA, being the technical chairman of the Jamaica Football Federation, the technical chairman of the CASAFA Confederation for some time. So I have some amount of knowledge in the whole community-based football as a social change agent. But to get an understanding, especially for our English friends of football in Jamaica, I have to give you a very brief history. During the 50s and 60s, football was considered a very elitist sport where only the rich and well-to-do used to participate in. Clubs evolved out of cricket clubs, and football was just another sport for them. You had Melbourne, Lucas, and Kingston Cricket Club that produced world-class West Indies players. And to pass time, they would spend a lot of time playing football outside of their cricketing. The clubs were very regimented. You had the YMCA, the JDF, St. George's College, Old Boys, Real Mona. As a matter of fact, the regiment was captained by Colonel Ken Barnes, who happened to be the father of John Barnes, former English player. So in the late 60s, I think something phenomenal took place in Jamaica. And that's when in the corporate era, CASAFA, they started something called the minor league football, which was started in the 60s by a man called Keith Node, who decided that for football to develop in the country for all, community-based football was the way to go. Node was a former St. George's College Old Boy who came up with a concept that during the summer, to keep the kids off the road and to be active, it would be best to have community-based football. And out of this came Boys Town, Rollington Town, Almond Town, Franklin Town, and a lot of the teams that are currently in CASAFA. Senior football would also have the same type of community-based teams. Clubs back in the days were like Railway that morphed into Tivoli, All Saints Jonestown that morphed into Arnett Gardens, Great West that morphed into Waterhouse, Golden Aces that morphed into Constant Spring, Pembroke, Duane Park, Mona Ligani.
Andrew, can I just ask you, are these all, remember, we're about youth football? So
yes, all youth.
Okay.
That is why I said something phenomenal started in the late 60s when youth football was focused on. During the early 70s, CASAFA was developed through three gentlemen, Neville Glanville, Russell Bell, and Billy Marston, who insisted that community football has to be done. And it started from the grassroots level, from age 13, 14, 15, and under 17. And that is how a lot of the clubs developed, because these youngsters matriculated from the various age groups to play senior football and ended up playing for Jamaica. So community-based football is very important in Jamaica. And right now with COVID, the only football that is currently playing in Jamaica after 17 months is our senior football. And we really want to get youth-based football started as soon as possible, because we are losing generations of football players because of the inactivity. So really what we are trying to do is to try to get the ministry and to get the government to give us the clearance to resume youth football as soon as possible, because we don't want to lose this generation, and it's very important. But community-based football is very important in the development of football, and many of our national players have come from these community-based teams.
Great, thanks for that, Andrew, and hopefully you'll be able to stay a bit longer because you raised some good points.
Sure.
I think might come back up. Ronaldo, I think, is it Ronaldo? I think Wayne, you had said would be speaking on behalf of CASAFA, was it?
That is it. I'm not prepared. I'm not ready.
Okay, no
Just
problem.
drive.
No problem. I see Emilio. Emilio, I see you there. Great to see you. I know you'd have plenty to say if you could introduce yourself and bring us up to date. Long time no see.
Hey guys, hey Rudy, long time no see. you look well.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for having me. You know, I've been working with the folks in CASAFA, trying to organize a development program that's holistic in nature. Yeah, the focus is on youth or people development, but we have to spend the time to develop the infrastructure around so we can guarantee certain results. And what I mean by that is coaching development, facility development, club development, because in today's game, you need the proper administration in order to have the programs that can produce the players that we want to see, or get the results that we want out of young people. So in the past 15 months, we've been, we took advantage of the chaos and madness, and I've been working behind the scenes to put things in place to get a league up and running. When I say a league that lasts a full year, as opposed to 6 weeks. And not only that, but putting the processes to facilitate year-round training, which I think is important if we want to compete and on the global stage. So where we are, I've done some work on the marketing, build a website, league management platform. We had some partnerships with a software company. They're ready to roll. They're just waiting for rosters. to do the not only league management, but it's on a social media platform. So they themselves have evolved in their offering. Shipped most of the things that we would need to get the league going. We have brand new cameras with artificial intelligence, so those are there. The practice gear for a lot of the clubs have yet to be issued. Some clubs have gotten it. Training vests and cones and equipment, those are already in there. So we have a lot of the things in place. I think the only thing that is missing is age appropriate goals, because we want to play 7v7, 9v9, then 11v11, and have kids move up. And most of the training should be 4v4 anyways, but we want to give people the tools in order to get to work. And as Andrew said, it's bigger than football because of the involvement of how important football is into a young person. And we don't want to lose a generation of young people just because, so we've been working hard. I'm sure we have a lot more to discuss, but just happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Okay. In fact, if you just quickly, Emilio, Wayne touched on it in terms of the mindset of the youngsters at the moment, in terms of the distraction. What has been your experience and what's your plans as it relates to that?
Well, it's interesting. So I'm in Boston. Our club and foundation is based here, but we do operate in several different countries. For our kids here, because the industry, and I use the word industry because it is a business in America, there was, from June 6th of last year, it was back to training, and whatever CDC put out, their own thing, and we've been literally training the whole year. So we haven't had a break. But during the time that there was the break, we invested a ton in just mindfulness and not even a sports psychologist. We had a doctor that worked with our kids, so we had weekly Zoom sessions for the kids. Various age groups. We have kids from different geographical locale. As a matter of fact, some of the kids from Casafa were on the Zoom calls during the weekly. So just using mindfulness and actually listening to what young people have to say. My counterpart in Portugal says it's a completely different thing, that they are absolutely worried that they have lost a whole generation because there's been a lack of interest in football. Only the big clubs, the Sporting and the Benficas, have been training, to a certain extent. The smaller clubs, not so much. So kids are just hanging out, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer on the. But in America, it's literally, there's been an effort to get back to whatever normal is. And we've, it's been a year, up and down, but at least we've been active and kids have been occupied. So I do recognize it's a challenge, and that's why I'm really in a rush to get things going, and because it's bigger than just football right now. It's just the mental health of a whole generation of young people.
Right. That in itself is such a powerful statement in terms of the mental health of young people, a whole generation. Yes, we'll touch back on that. Right, we're going to go to Carville and then Mickey Barnes. So, Carville.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, all. I got in a bit late because there was a struggle on my iPad, so I'm on the phone now.
Yeah, no problem.
I only heard what Emilio spoke of. I didn't hear Andrew, but I'm sure Andrew would have covered a lot of the community benefits from the way we had developed the football here. Just quickly, it goes back to the 60s when the minor league started, and that was the main first thrust into communities. And that was like under 17 players coming to the fore. And a lot of the people who emerged, like Skill Code and various others, came out of that program. But I really wanted to introduce and ask us to look at the period before we get into the tournaments of which Emilia spoke. I have a concept that if we can develop futsal-sized courts around the island, but we may start in Kingston and St. Andrew. I hope we get around the island though. In the primary schools and in those prep schools that can accommodate and are willing to accommodate. And we start the development from the 4 and 5 years old level. The concept is broad. It would incorporate the PE, physical education teachers as coaches. They would be trained to be coaches at that age group. And feeling that we have a whole heap of footballers who could take up that mantle with proper training and so on. Because the development is lacking. We do have a period now that Emilia spoke of that we would wish to rescue a group of youngsters. I wouldn't say a whole generation because I think we have time to catch them. But to start the program, to start the process of education in the game and subsequent identification of real outstanding talent and then the development from there. So broadly, I would see us starting it because if we don't, nobody will. But we'd have to get government on board because they'd have to provide access to the schools and allow us to get into the prep schools as well, so that we can really develop a broad-based, true youth development program, not the foolishness that they call grassroots football. It would need significant funding because we would have to not only be able to assist or enable in the construction of the futsal courts, but the equipment that would be required to go along with it as well. And I would think that we could get government on board both for access and also for the training of the coaches training, because there's in sport and the Ministry of Sport and so on that I think we should tap in order to get this development going. I didn't want to be historical in the discussion because we've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And we know what the current results are. I'm hoping that we can move it even further now.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Carville, because this forum is about a strategy, the way forward out as we come out of the pandemic era, then being able to identify what the priorities are, where we can then get the level of collaboration across the different countries and the diaspora interest as well. So Mikey Barnes, then I'll go to Kenneth Wilson afterwards. Mikey, can you unmute?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Pleasure being here. Mookie, Carvel, Wayne.
Morning, Mikey.
Wayne, Kenny. All right. I've been working on this side of town. I'm in Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And we've been doing some programs here. But it was young adults, but work with the JFF on the under 23 program, which they threw to the curve. But I was kind of disrupted, but took some time for me to get back into it. And I spoke to Rudy a couple of times. So want to work with young youths. That's the future in developing here in the States and also in Jamaica. I spoke to Chris James, which from Wayne Shaw organization, about getting grassroots program up and running the right and proper way how it's supposed to be run. I reached out to the U.S. Coaching Association here in the U.S. To get it authorized that they'll help us with the grassroots program. Teach the coaches, young coaches, not old coaches. I tell them already, I don't want to, the older adults, you know, they had their time. So I want to work with young kids that's coming out of high school for them to be coaches. They don't have to be no top footballer, but they can understand how to deal with young kids. So we spoke to the U.S. Coaching Association here in the U.S. They said they would come down here, come down to Jamaica. They would not charge because the way we wrote the letter, and I spoke to Shaw about not Shaw, Chris James, which is working with Mr. Shaw. We structured the letter as underprivileged kids because most of the kids that's in high school can't afford to pay for our coaching license, which is an E license, US E license, grassroots. So they're willing to send an instructor down, and we choose 3 parishes, which is Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Anne's, and Clarendon, to do the first set of grassroots program. However, waiting back to hear from Mr. Shaw and Chris James, because there was a little discrepancy about CONCACAF wanted to do also a license that, you know, all of a sudden it just came up out of the blue like that. So we don't know if they want to do a start from E up or whatever they want to do. But I just got a call this week from the Coaching Association. They asked me what's going on.
Yeah. So Mikey, is this about youth and community football? Because
everything is youth.
Yeah, youth in terms of community.
Right, whichever community we go into.
Okay.
Whichever community, because we already choose 3 communities already.
Right. Okay.
Which is Kingston and St. Andrew, Clarendon and St. Anne.
Right. Okay.
So what I'm gonna do after I get off the, I'm gonna call Shaw myself, and we need to speak so we could get this thing on the road. Which I already spoke to Minister Bobsy Grinch, Minister Mike Henry, to get involved. This is the government to get involved to push it, so we could get it. Because I know the JFF is a little bit anything that we is doing for the kids. They either want to roadblock it or stick it up or something of the kind.
Okay, but we're looking forward as a priority, and your point really is to get youth football organized in Jamaica, coming from where you are. Excellent. No problem. Okay, we're going to come back to some of the points that you raised. Can I ask for Kenneth, please?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, my colleagues here in Jamaica, and good afternoon to my colleagues in Europe. Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yeah, we can all hear you.
Morning, Ken.
Yes. I am extremely excited when I heard about this, because from where I sit, you cannot be an adult, without being a youth, a youth first. And I think that, we are too many focus are placed on adult football and not where it ought to be. It has to be at the grassroots level, at the community level, right? Because here in Augustown, we have proven, I have organized a program where we have a number of youth that participate in a particular program where on Saturdays, through football though, football as it is, there was on football club. On Saturdays, we will have them, because we are next door to the University of West Indies. Saturdays, we'll have them on campus, in Urban Hall, Chancellor Hall, working on their academics and so a mentorship program. And throughout all the problems with gang violence in Augustown, we were able to, we did not lose one of those kids to violence. Now everybody's on grown up and they are on a straight, they are on a straight path, right? One of them is presently at the University of West Indies, but everybody else is grown up, working. None of them involved in gangs. So that proved that if we have a structured program, aim and the objective to do from our standpoint was to demonstrate that sports can be used as a transformational tool for humans, as young people, starting early and give them the right kind of mentorship. Then that in and of itself will guide their path going forward. And I am delighted to hear of this program, because a couple years ago we started all there were basic schools across all the state. There are about 10 basic schools, and it was fantastic because of the involvement of the parents, right? And parents were saying to me, Mr. Wilson, I don't know what you have done to my child, but no, he's eating vegetables, he's drinking water. Whenever I want to do something that the coach needs, he say, mommy, coach did not say I must do that, mommy, coach, I must do this, mommy, coach, I must drink water, coach, I must eat vegetables, right? So it was a transformational approach. And then one of the principals in one of the schools said to me that since the football program started, there are more she have seen more cooperation among the kids, right, in classes, and so, you know, we are sitting on a gold mine in terms of how do we use sport, in particular in this aspect, football, to set the foundation in the life of our kids, and that will have them growing up right toward taking responsibility and, you know, becoming worthwhile human beings. It's fantastic.
Okay, thank you for that, Kenneth. And some of the key aspects that will really come up just in what people have said so far, and one of the points of this particular forum relating to community and youth football is to set a strategy for the future within this pandemic era. So we've got the issues around what I would call alternative distractions, which in a diplomatic way, as was mentioned, young people now sort of smoking, drinking, just not applying, which to me is related to mindset, and of course the mental health and well-being, and of course the influence of parents. So I think as we set out how we're going to mobilize and gain support for youth football progression, because that's what we're now talking about, progression from where we are, we're going to have to come up with some plans that are tangible in terms of how are we making best use of the resources that we have already, and being able to demonstrate that and set that out to potential sponsors and supporters and other stakeholders, and then being very clear what support we do require. So so that's going to be very much the focus and direction over these next series of sessions. But today it's just, you know, is very much agenda setting. So before I come to you, Dean, just in terms of the last point that was made, we are about setting an agenda to go forward, but it is on the basis of us making best use of the existing resources that we have. How can we better collaborate, and then being able to be clear what the priorities are for progression from where we are, and then the expectations of any new support, wherever it may come from, internationally or locally. So I'm going to go to Dean, then come back to you, Wayne Buckfoy, just to just give an overview, because you touched on the important point that particularly came up with 2 or 3 of the other speakers about the mindset of young people and the necessary patience and guidance. So if we're talking about youth development, I think we have to have a much more weighting towards how are we, and Emilio after Wayne could come in on this as well, is how is it we're going to structure ourselves or reconfigure ourselves so there is that patience and guidance as it relates to young people. And Keisha Hale's not on here at the moment, but we do have another program called Diaspora Beacon of Hope, which is supported by the Jamaica Teachers Associations at the principals at the primary school level as well. So there will be a connection between all of this and primary schools in the Kingston and St. Andrew Football Association area that has already been agreed. So, so I'll come to you, Wayne, and then to you, Emilio. Then after that, we'll open it up into a general discussion. But please keep the discussion on where you want us to head and how, not just the where, but how, in terms of how we're making best use of the existing resources and what are the resources required from some of the external stakeholders. So thanks for that, Wayne, and then Emilio. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Good. Well, I'm in the United States, so I say good morning, good afternoon to people in Europe, Jamaica. Being a Scout ambassador representing the country for the past 30 years. So I just speak now. Kenneth is working with me closely. His transmission was a bit low, so I just want to integrate that we're working with the young people there in Augustown. And my first exposure to soccer, I think that's where soccer started, was through Professor Barry Shevans with the Cultural Day. As a youngster growing up, it was to play against people like Jimmy Sinclair, Peter Cargill, who went on to represent Jamaica at the high level. And as a member of the US, I'm presently working with Kenneth in Augustown, because Augustown is like where the first colony started in Jamaica. I have the honor of seeing we have the honor of seeing most of these people. I have the honor of playing street soccer with people watching me, and Kenneth is doing a tremendous job with our young people. Despite all the problems going on in Augustown, Kenneth has been working with the young people, and I'm now a part of the US diaspora, myself and Rudy Page, the global diaspora, to work with the young people. Going forward, being a Scout leader, I've started a group with members from all over the island between the age of 7 to 12 as a national Scout group. So we're going to be focusing on soccer. I know you guys need people, and there's a lot of people from the prep school. So my 5-year development plan is to transform crime and violence through uniform groups, soft sports, and for all those people in those high-level football places, we have young men who are waiting, and I would love to merge with your organization to train our young men. They are there, and as I said, the diaspora, Mr. Rudy, we were working with the young people from all across Jamaica, and we have like 12 people presently. And come September, we're going to be recruiting at least 40 young men between the age of, say, 7 to 15. So that's a bunch of group that I would love to ask for your assistance, because Scouting is a part of Jamaica. I've been representing Jamaica for the past 30 years. And from Jamaica, it's reggae and sports. So it's an honor for me to be here. And thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Dean, and it is important because it goes back to the 3 pillars of what we're talking about in terms of young people need somewhere to go, young people need something to do, young people need someone to show them how, and that's the 3 pillars behind the Football Futures concept. Thank you. Wayne Buckfoy, then Emilio, and then we'll open up. Thank you. Right, Wayne.
Hello, Rudy.
Hi. Right, we can hear you now.
Yeah, it went off for a couple of seconds. Oh, I have to apologise. I didn't say hello to everyone when I first spoke. Sorry about that. Good afternoon from Spain. and happy Spain after last night's game. Anyhow, yeah, touching on what's happened with the mentality of a lot of the kids over here from sort of like the 12 to 18 age group, because we've started a little while ago, it's been, you know, quite serious, the mental side of it, where they've actually lost a lot of interest. They've had more turned on to, like somebody touched on, sitting in parks, drinking beer, smoking hash, rather than, and these were before the pandemic, these were players that wanted to be footballers, because some of them are with high level youth teams here, you know. They call it a Liga de Honor. They're semi-pro clubs, but their youth teams play against the likes of Valencia, Villarreal, Levante, Elche. Now, some of these players, I mean, spoken to some of the scouts and the other coaches I know here, we've noticed a massive change since the pandemic, the lockdown, you know. I feel that when we go back into the pre-season, properly pre-season, is maybe don't even get the footballs out for a week or even 2 weeks. Just go in a room and let's have a chat. See what you say. Let's discuss what's happened, you know, and try and stimulate their love of the game back again, or their enthusiasm. I think they still love the game. The enthusiasm's gone a bit because they've been used to being just indoors with their mum and dads for so long, watching series, playing games, video games. The physical side left them a little bit, you know. So I think we need to talk to them.
Yeah,
for a week or two, maybe watch some videos and talk. The kids, the players can ask each other questions. We can listen to that word again. Be a bit patient before we get the balls out, and then stimulate that that enthusiasm again. You know, early pre-season. There's definitely been an effect over here, without a doubt. No.
You raise a good point. I mean, because we use what we call them community dialogues in neighborhoods, communities, as we're thinking of plans around development. So that might be something of a priority. We'll see before we leave today what other of the participants feel about that idea of, as you said, not getting the football out for a couple of weeks, but just talking and listening and having the dialogues, and a bit more understanding of where people's minds are, where the young people's minds are. And again, we're back to that word patience again.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, at that age group, some kids are shyer than others, and they need that little bit of patience and that, you know, that group scenario where they can actually talk freely to other footballers, their friends, where they'll probably talk freely there, a lot freer there than they would with their mum and dad. And we as coaches can just sit back a little bit, you know.
So maybe, so maybe there's the role of the coach then, but the coach without the football, so to speak. So you're still in the football setting, but it's not about the ball, which would be the main driver of the bringing them together. So again, you know, that must be good for the mental well-being.
And then maybe the last half an hour we can play a little bit of football tennis, have a bit of a laugh, get the thing going again, you know, before serious training. Last half an hour, play some football tennis. You know, but just have it nice and relaxed and listen to what the players have got to say.
Great. Some good suggestions there, and we'll follow up on that with the dialogue, Emilio, and then we'll open it up to any other thoughts. Thanks for that, Wayne. Can you unmute?
Hey, sorry guys. So just to build off what Wayne said, I mean, you know, those conversations are going to be massively important, and I do think they're going to be ongoing. Incidentally, this week I met a lady. She's a professor at the University of Massachusetts, I think Leslie. She's actually Jamaican, and she has an interest, and I was just talking to her about working in Jamaica, and you know, her focus really is on community psychology development, and working with youth is very, very specific. It just so happens that our paths crossed, and I explained what we're trying to do, and with youth in Jamaica, and she's all on board. So what I told her is, when we get started, every match day is a festival, and everyone is going to be in the same space, geographical space, roughly at the same time. So, any seminars that need to be run, any coaching or teaching or anything can be on the same day, the same match day, because that's how the league is going to be organized. Following up with, her name is Nikki Dawes, Professor Dawes, I should say. Following up with Mikey Barnes, the coaching education is massively important, because I think when we have brighter coaches or more enthusiastic coaches, you get a better result with young people. And so I think that is a huge part of it. And, the one thing that the US does is that they, they're highly structured, how they approach the grassroots class that Mikey is talking about. It's no longer the Mikey's grassroots, they call it. The first 3 modules are done online. And then the last one is an in-person, and then you have your grassroots license. But they do cover everything in terms of, small side tactics, 4v4, 5v5, 7v7. They have different modules, as well as the psychology of coaching, because coaching really is different than playing the actual game. So I just think having the infrastructure where everyone can be in the same space, we can all be supportive of each other. We can work out any problems. Yes, it's for the kids and the games, but you all know that it's like the structure, the infrastructure that allows us to put forth the service level that we want and get the results that we want. Last but not least, all this does take money. And so, one of the things I've been trying to do is just to create structures that actually engage the diaspora. And I'll have to talk to you about it, Rudy, where you can sponsor a kid, or sponsor a team or adopt a club, so case in August, the footballers in Boston, we're having a whole weekend of fundraisers just to, do the back to school and back to play, where we're going to try and, every year, our club gives a few thousand back to school packages. So I just said, hey, if it's just one club, if whatever you guys do, we'll match it, So our goal really for this summer is, when we pack the bags, normally we, give a book bag with, notebooks and pens and calculators and pen and pencil and whatever. We're also going to add another bag, which is football gear, your water bottle, a bag, shin guards, things that a young footballer would want and need. So he has his back to school and his back to play supplies. So most of the stuff we already have here, but the footballers here, that's the local idle ballers, that just corner league. I'm just like talking about it. Let's give back to your club. You all are from a community in Jamaica. Support a kid, and it's not that expensive. Support a youth, and anything that you do, you can actually say that you gave towards somebody. So they're pretty excited about it. We're doing a 6 or 7, a food festival, and of course it's a party because they got to pop the bottles and whatnot. But we're popping for a good cause.
Yeah, thanks for that for the moment, Emilio. I'll be interested, and Andrew, Price, and Carvel, your thoughts on that, particularly with the CASAFA agenda in mind. And I like that term, back to play. I could see how we could build around that back to play as a strategy, bearing in mind what Wayne was saying, and you touched on about just having that time where you're just talking, you're encouraging the young people to talk amongst themselves about their experience of this, this pandemic era that we're in, and what are their thoughts for going forward in the future.
Yeah, bear in mind, that we're from where kids are seen but not heard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the context, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is the context. Yeah.
Just to be interesting.
Okay, so any other thoughts around that from anyone? Please, you can pitch in with your thoughts. Yes,
Just to say,
Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee. Okay, I'll come to, sorry, Ansel Lee afterwards. Yes, Carvel, go.
No,
Go
just to
ahead.
say that I fully endorse what Emilia has put forward, both in terms of getting back to playing the game, as well as preparing the youngsters to play the game.
Yeah.
I just wanted to input also in that what I introduced earlier would have included everyone, both gender.
Yeah.
Because we also have to aim to develop the girls, especially as they more readily have access to the higher levels than the male, because that's much wider open than for the males. So we have to ensure we look after both of them.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Prepare to play. There's preparation. Yeah, so you can see that there's some key activities that could be set out very clearly in preparation to get back to where you were pre pandemic. Yeah, yeah. Ansel Lee, thanks for that, Carvel.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You know, I'm listening, and I understand the thought process that has gone into thinking that we could have probably 2 weeks of talking, but the children have been talking to themselves and talking to their peers, and children would want to play. So I'm just thinking that we probably would have 2 weeks of just letting them play, having them socialize in playing. That's one, because they've been on lockdown for a long time. So their focus is going to be playing. It has been playing, but they're not been able to interact. Okay?
Yeah, that's a fair point. So you're talking about that flexibility.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So in a sense, it's asking if once you can get the young people to the session, then it's about you can be flexible. So there may be some who want to talk, but like you said, there may be others who just want to play. You know,
yes.
Give them the ball and we just want to kick around. Yeah, good point.
I'm thinking also that we want to recalculate how we're going to talk about psychology. We're talking about these youngsters who have been impacted by the decline of the community, not just through COVID, but in Jamaica, a serious situation has happened.
Everywhere, yeah.
No, it's very violent here in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right? And very unusual.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Without the football, without the sport, without the social interaction, it has declined terribly.
Yeah. Now
there's no quick fix. There's no quick fix about this.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to work out.
So I'm prepared to support in a program that will allow the gradual development of some psychological impact on these youngsters. You know, it's difficult right now for some youngsters to even cope with being locked down. It's very difficult for them to deal with having to watch on the news people being killed.
Yeah.
You know, and so the psychological redevelopment to cultivate a different mindset.
Yeah, and we hope with what we're setting out. So okay, so we get the point on that. So thanks for that, Ansel. We got Ewan, and then there was I think that there was somebody else. I'll see when they put their hand up again, please. Ewan, over to you. George Davis, that's it. So Ewan, then George.
Okay. Yeah, man. I just want to extend my appreciation for the forum in general, because we have had many over many years, but what seemed to be absent is a strategy, a planned approach to how we teach the game and the kind of environment that we think is necessary to encourage learning of the game, because we see it as only playing, but it's kind of disconnect from like, for example, an electrician learning to improve his skill, or a sculptor learning to improve the artistry and the aesthetics of what they're doing. We just like to see the youngsters engaged, and whatever they are engaged in, there is no end or improvement approach to what we are teaching or what we're supposed to be teaching, and that disconnect, right? And the plural approach is what seemed to be hurting what most of us intend to do.
Okay.
Now, if this approach is going to be on organizing, unifying an approach, and it does not mean that we are taking away the rights of every individual to teach his own child or his children. But like I said, on a number of occasions, when we look at early childhood education, there is a method to it. And it doesn't mean that every school and every teacher teaches the same subject, but in general, they are operating within certain guidelines so that measured improvements can be.
You can agree what the learning outcomes should be. So if there's a sense from those who are coaching, advising and supporting, you can agree these are the broad learning outcomes that are expected. How people do it, people have got their different approaches. That's what I'm interpreting from what you're saying as well.
It is important for us to be able to organize the coaching environment in order to ensure that what is needed is what we are working towards. It's not just what I need or what I think that individual player need, but what the football environment needs in order to help that player to prepare and advance himself towards his football ambition or his football goal.
Right.
We don't have enough collaboration.
Right. So
we don't have a methodology.
Yeah.
Right. And these are some of the things that is holding back the thing, because everybody wants their own independence, their own view on things, and not to say that what is it that a community need, what is it that Jamaica football need, what is it that Kingston football needs as against what Clarendon football needs. We have to look at it in order to move the thing on a path that we can measure the development that is taking place.
Well, absolutely, collaboration is the word, and that's definitely one of the key priorities going forward, that level of collaboration. Thank you for that input. George Davis.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I like to say that I agree with a lot of the comments which has been made by the participants and also your guests. I think everyone has a good answer. The problem we seem to have is how can we put this all together in order to make it work? Now, it's always coming down to the same thing. Who's going to be the leader? Is it CASAFA? Is it JFF? Or do we just need to have an independent body who works with the raw development of football?
Right. What I could say, George, can I just sort of assist you with that? For this particular forum, and we're talking about community and youth football, it's Football Futures, CASAFA. This is our particular forum, how we're collaborating with support from Middlesex Football Association and the coaching organization that my colleague Wayne Buckford runs in Spain. So we're about young people and schools and that development area. So I don't want us to go outside of that on this particular forum, because what we're doing doesn't extend any further than the role of CASAFA as it relates to football in Jamaica specifically, not this particular forum. If I just add that.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I sort of welcomed what everyone said in this, so it's in line with it. What is it? We do lots of talking, but we come up with no strategy.
Yeah. No, we have a strategy. This is the point. But we'll take on board your point. We'll take on point.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. But also, the point that you're making does ensure as well. It's also about communication and sharing, transparency, and ensuring that as many stakeholders as possible understand where we're wanting to head. So the underlying point is absolutely accepted. Right, Kenneth.
Yes, I just want to sort of reinforce and support what Wayne in Spain was saying about the lockdown and the impact on the kids and even the parents, because as an adult, I can tell that the lockdown, affected me very much. So I know, and also what Ansel said in relation to the challenge in violence, how it impact our young people. So, as we call ourselves coaches, educators, and transformation specialists. I think we have a lot of work to do. So we have to prepare ourselves and our mind for that. The lockdown, we have not yet begun to experience the negative impact that the lockdown have caused us, right? And the loss of so many of our youths right now. So it's gonna have to be a call to action, an urgent call to action to rescue our youths.
Absolutely, that's what crisis leadership is about.
Yes,
we are where we are. We're in the situation we're in, and how are we going to work out the way out the situation that we find ourselves in? And you do that through collaboration, not turning on each other, not blaming anybody. We are where we are. This is the situation we find ourselves in, and what are the ideas in this time now? We talk about, for young people, the 21st century skills: collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking. So if we're there providing those things for young people, then that means that we ourselves have to demonstrate that we can do that ourselves from a leadership perspective, to reinforce the 3 pillars for young people because of what they need. And we all know prevention is better than cure, and it's important that they have somewhere to go, something to do, someone to show them how. So to my mind, then it's not about the young people, it's about us who say that we want to lead them and support them. So it's about us working out the best way forward. So that's where we are. Are there any other points that anybody would like to make as we come down to the end of the program?
This is Chris.
Yes, Chris, sorry, Chris. Yes, you're on the list. Apologies, Chris. Yes.
Oh, no problem. I am very happy for the opportunity for us to sit down and discuss and to forge the relationships going forward. One of the most important factors that I believe needs to be done now is to restart football at the youth level in Jamaica. We have a scenario here where football is being played in every community unofficially, and the only football that's not being played is the official football. So it must be a priority for us to restart this game of football in CASAFA here. What I am pleased about and I'm very anxious to do is to forge the relationships that are necessary. We have forged relationships with Emilia, yourself, maybe a lot of people in the group don't realize that Rudy is really representing CASAFA at the international level within England especially, and that we have also forged some relationship with the Middlesex FA, the Brentford Football Club. We have some MOUs, and we'd really like to follow up on those things as I spoke to you about. Emilia has big plans for our youth development. So it's very positive going forward. The truth is, sometimes it may move a little bit slow because in Jamaica here, we tend to move slowly. We have a lot of bureaucracy, but we have to now attempt to reach.
We seem to have just lost Chris at the critical moment there. But yes,
Yeah.
All right, you're back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm saying if we don't get the game restarted, it's just going to get worse and worse, because I don't know if you know, Rudy, the children have not been going to school for over what, 15 months,
Yeah.
16. They have not gone to face-to-face classes. So there's no socialization whatsoever taking place, you know. So
yeah, and it's a shame that
press ahead in restarting the game right now.
Absolutely understand. It's a shame our education advisor is not on today. Was hoping that, and she was going to give us a deep insight into how the teachers were coping with that situation. But I think we'll do that in the next program. So we'll try to schedule the next program pretty quickly. We'll do one definitely during August as well, because there's some key points that have been raised that we can follow up on. So, Dean.
Yes, I just want to thank you. So I would say Sir Rudy Page for tremendous work that you're doing from that angle. I mean, looking at the forum, I can tell you, I've been around a long time, and I think this is a great start. You know, and I heard someone say that something, you know, we need to start somewhere. 1,000 steps begins by taking one. You know, and I can say with my experience, and I have been on the football field where the great Pele I heard played on. You know, so I think, Rudy, what you have started today, it's history in the making. You know, I must say Kenneth is doing a tremendous job from the grassroots where high crime is there, and yet still is still fighting the battle. You know, my friend Wayne, you know, we have a cross section, you know, people from the US. This forum of a cross section of happiness, trueness, and going forward, I can see the positive growth. You know, working with young people, a forum like this, you know, the people are out there, and we just need to get going. And I think today is a great start, and I'm very proud and honored to be a part of all you people who are on this forum. And thanks again for coming out. You know, as I said, when you're representing Jamaica as a scout leader, you know, once you say Jamaica, it's and reggae and soccer, sports play a great role. I used to juggle the ball as a kid. I could go 100, 200. I play, when I go to a scout camp in my scout uniform, I can hockey, soccer, juggle for an hour. So thank you very much. I feel very honored to be here today, Rudy.
Thank you for that, Dean. Yeah, Wayne used to show off a lot when he was juggling with the ball. Yeah, no, that's great. And I should also add that we have an MOU, CASAFA Football Futures, with Brentford Football Club, their community support part of the organization. And, you know, they've supplied some kits and things like that, boots, which will be on their way anytime now from the UK. And we're also pleased that they're now a Premier League football club as well. And hopefully you'll be hearing more from them in the future, because there's a great football initiative, Soccer for Health. So again, as we get into more details about the activities going forward, then we'll be able to talk more about that. And just going back to Mikey and Emilio's mentioned about football activities in Jamaica in August. I mean, again, we're gearing our activities as it relates to football in Jamaica over the next couple of years. So we're aiming at August as well. Sure, Wayne Buckfoy will be in Jamaica with us. He's given us a commitment. And particularly for next year, Jamaica's Diamond Jubilee, 60th anniversary. So we see that as a great draw from around the world for Jamaica as well. And we think it's important that football is an integral part of that community development, youth development, or it's really essential. So unless there's any key point anybody wants to make about when it comes to one sec, Mikey, about leadership and ideas that, as I said, we are where we are, and to transform and progress, they're the ideas that we're looking for. Yes, Mikey.
Yeah, to what the gentleman was saying about the youths and the crime and so forth, we do understand it. But however, in every organization or anything that I'm doing, if I'm going to go forward into the jungle, I like to have support. Well, so when I say support, I mean somebody I could call upon who has my back. And like I spoke to Chris before, doing things in Jamaica, I always like to have a strong support cast. Somebody who I could pick the phone up and make a phone call. And as the gentleman is saying, going forward with this organization, and we're doing this, and you kind of tell them that this is what we are doing. It's not about every crease and crevices in Jamaica. We do have to start somewhere, and then it expands out into the rest of Jamaica, which I think is a good idea, because you cannot start big. You have to start small. And this diverse group, I think if we put our hands together and our heads together, our thought, I know that whatever we're going to do, it will work. And also, like I said, I spoke of the ministry, which is the government. I don't go anywhere without a government body that supports what I'm doing. And I'm going to call some names.
I prefer if you didn't. I prefer if you didn't on this forum, Mikey, because as I said, this forum is about what those of us here as participants can do. And then there'll be a point where we then say to the other wider external stakeholders, look, this is what we're doing. This is the plan and strategy that we've set out. And these are the particular areas where we are requesting your support.
Okay, no problem, no problem. If you don't need it right now,
not yet.
Yeah, the grassroots program, like I said, I speak to CASAFA, and I spoke to other organizations that will, if they are on our side, but 99% of the time it's going to go forward.
Yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
It's a later date.
Yeah. No, this forum represents, as I think Chris James said, and we haven't gone too much detail into the relationships, but that is the structure is Football Futures. It's CASAFA. It's Emilio's organization. It's the relationship that we have with Middlesex Football Association, full commitment by the Chief Executive, Leo Connor. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it today just due to a family situation, for those of you who joined late. And Brentford Football Club, through their community trust, we have an MOU with them. There's a major program called Soccer for Health. They've also just donated a lot of football gear and boots. It was just down to the COVID-19 why everything got delayed. So I think as we come out through the pandemic, we get things moving again, then, you know, we'll do our best. And like I said, from a leadership perspective, that's what we're coming from.
And thank you very much for making it known that the time frame you put on the flyer.
Yeah.
Was the last time I called you like 5 hours later on.
Yes, yeah, that happens.
Thank you very much for that reminder, because I felt bad when I did that.
Okay, no problem.
I know we are in different time frame.
Yeah.
But I did not realize it, you know. So thank you for that. And I think we can work wonders and do things for the kids in Jamaica.
Thank you very much. And that's a great note, Mikey, to end on. And I'd just like
Mookie, could you tell Mookie to please give me a call? I lost his number.
I think you've just done that. Yeah. Right. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending this first of a series of symposiums as it relates to community and youth football, and look forward to seeing you all again. And of course, England are going to win this evening. So
oh my God, oh my God.
Again.
Oh my God, you're brainwashed me. You brainwashed me.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, I wish you luck. All right.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. See you all.
All right, cool.
Cheers. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.